welcome to Roast Mortem Podcast, the only podcast in the world. My name is Tom.
I am Travis.
Yeah, and I'll be your Cody for this evening, whatever.
And I'm Mike.
There he is. There we are. We're doing things.
Yeah.
Travis, how was your week, Travis?
Oh, no.
Oh, you beat me to it.
No,
You
he
asked about my
didn't.
week.
He literally
He's
did.
the nicest guy. Nicest guy.
He didn't beat you to it. He said it
whatever.
after you
Travis,
did.
how was your week?
Whatever, Cody. He asked. Mike is my favorite person.
No,
so
he's
my
not.
week, yeah, nothing to report.
It's weird, right?
No, I've been working a lot. I've been cutting some videos. I've been doing these videos on plant-based.
Yeah, you said that in the last
Oh, no.
podcast.
Yeah. Did I? Fuck. Nothing's happening.
Nothing's happening.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think. I did do something. Oh, I got pizza. That's cool.
Oh, yeah. You survived?
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
What about you guys?
I got Hot Pockets from Costco. It's kind of like pizza, but inside out.
All right. We got some
forgot what
fantastic
I
weeks
did.
going on.
That's okay. You're just a normal person, like everyone else. I barbecued.
What month
I
is
woke
it?
up today.
I saw
Yeah,
that.
when you barbecue, you get a feeling of gratification that I haven't had in a while since the last time I barbecued, 3 days before. So that's it. That's the week.
Yeah.
Lots of food.
That's good.
vegan.
Yeah.
I keep getting yelled at by this person on my block. Actually, I'm just remembering because I smoke cigarettes and I throw them out in the garbage. But
You're
I
not
live in, like,
littering. You're not
I
littering.
live in an apartment complex, and there's like literally hobos that sleep on this bench. And like sometimes I go out there and have a cigarette, and this fucking idiot that lives in the like $500,000 condos across the street next to the bench is like, stop throwing your butts on the ground. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, you're not the
Getting
bad one.
secondhand smoke to the homeless
Like,
guy.
fuck you, lady.
Just tell
Yeah.
him, repeat after me. Next time he yells at you, say, "Do you want to get violent?"
Yes, I will
Yeah.
get violent.
You just take your clothes off.
Violence, please. It's too much work.
Yeah.
It's too much work.
Oh, that would be fun if you like he comes out and yells at you and you
pull my
well,
shirt
not
off?
even. You just rip like the part where your nipple's at and then just cut off that part of the shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that
what,
means
you want
business
some?
right
Looking
there.
at him.
You want some of Daddy's milk?
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with you if I saw that.
No.
I'd be like, damn, this guy's a psycho.
Once again, one of our finest "How was your week?" moments here on Roast Mortem, the only podcast.
I didn't mind it.
But without further ado, let's just start talking.
More, yeah.
Somebody asked me a question that's not the one with how does he die?
Oh, the other question?
Yeah.
Who is on our mortician slab today, Mr. Lee?
On our Choppyman Slab Boy town, we have a guy. But first, I just want to let you know about the subject
Why
that
did
we're
I
talking
even
about.
ask you that question if you're not going to answer it and then immediately change like tracks?
You know what, Cody? Don't worry about it. Tonight
I'm
we're talking
worrying
about
always.
my favorite subject, archaeology.
Oh, I thought that was gonna be hot dogs.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be retro porn.
Hot dogs on the side of the road is a whole different study of archaeology. That's I won't get into that today because that's a whole other story for another
I'd
day.
love to learn about it.
But
in the
yes,
middle
it
of a
is a
podcast.
science. It's a science, archaeology. And
Sure.
the last archaeologist we roasted was Giovanni Belzoni. You guys remember that Italian monster?
Uh-huh, yeah.
He was strong.
But he was doing that. He's a strong boy.
He
was
played a
looting
ship?
mummies. Yeah, all the way down. He was doing that shit all the way back in the 1810s. That was back when archaeology was in its baby form. Like, they didn't really know what they were doing. They're like, mummies, I don't care. Just burn them.
Jerky.
Yeah. So our subject's heyday was the 1870s and 1880s. And archaeology, its techniques, the overall concept of documenting the past had evolved a lot. People now understood that you could date a certain object from stratification of the soil. That's like
Right.
different layers and shit. You ever got one of those mud cups and you see the
Yeah.
worms and then you see like the mashed potatoes? What do they have in mud cups?
Whipped cream, chocolate
Yeah.
flakes, gummy worms.
Spaghetti.
Oreo.
I never got the gummy worms part. It's gross.
No one does. It's
Well,
gross.
it's the mud part, but
In the 1870s and 1880s, people had an understanding that archaeology was a destructive science. And that is when you disturb the earth and remove artifacts, that the site can't be reassembled again. You remove its context, right? So, like, I'm using a fleshlight in my abode, and then I throw it in the dirt. Like, oh, well, we know that this man liked to eat Cheetos and has a fleshlight.
Yeah, how long has to happen before it's archaeology and not dumpster diving?
3.5 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
hey,
So they know this thing. Everything that you find in the dirt in archaeology has to be documented, and you can't just start knocking things over willy-nilly.
Yeah, it's the difference between archaeology and grave robbing.
Yeah. So today, actually, most sites that are discovered are not excavated right away. Archaeologists use ground-penetrating radar to map out the site.
Yeah.
And excavation, if it's done, is very meticulous procedure.
Yeah, you dig with brushes. It takes a long time.
wow.
Yeah. On top of that, we also have radiocarbon dating, which gives us a ballpark of organic material that we uncover from the Earth. Are you
Lots of
bored?
science
No.
out here.
I haven't been paying attention. I'll chime back in once we start talking about a person.
I love this. I'm rigid.
All right, so our person, his name
Yeah.
is Heinrich Schliemann.
hate
Schliemann.
Heinrich, strong name.
Schliemann.
Heinrich Schliemann.
It's a nice name.
So if you're even right,
That's a gynecologist name. I don't know why I think that.
he could have been. He was looking at a lot of vagina. But if you're even remotely interested in the study of archaeology, you may have heard of this guy because he found one of the most important finds in the history of the science when he unearthed the lost ancient Greek city of Troy.
Whoa, how do you find that?
He was in his backyard.
Sticking around.
How do you find a whole
Yeah.
city?
Oh,
Holy
that's-
shit.
Wait, what was the movie with Troy? Was it Troy?
It was called
with,
Troy.
It was
Yeah.
called Troy.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
called Troy.
With, what's his name?
Wasn't it?
Barnes Pit.
Barnes Pitt. I thought it was like Channing Tatum.
Yeah, Channing Tatum was...
Brad Pitt.
Channing
Brad
Tatum.
Pitt. Not Barnes Pitt.
well, who knows where the facts begin and the jokes end here.
It's roast mortem.
Yeah,
cast, baby.
Chantex Tatum.
Yeah. Also, Barnes as a first name is a good time.
I agree.
So whether you've heard of this guy Schliemann before, you probably don't know that he was a rich, pathological egomaniac. Perfect person that we like to roast on.
Can
these
we
shows.
even trust him when he says, I found Troy?
No.
Sounds kind of fishy to me.
So Schliemann had learned proper methods of excavation, and he threw them all out the window when he was digging in the trenches.
This is not important.
Nah. Schliemann's finds are displayed at most major museums around the world, and his findings are currently being put under the microscope and have even though they have largely remained unquestioned for the majority of the 20th century. They're just now being like, I don't know, this guy is kind of an idiot.
Wait a minute. This isn't Troy. This is a White Castle.
So the thing is that Schliemann is seen as one of those almost mythological, like passionate archaeologists, and he's inspired so many to join the field. So challenging his discoveries is a little bit a sore subject towards crusty old professors. You know what I mean? Like, this is like the Babe Ruth, right? Like, of archaeology.
Okay.
Or Derek Jeter's.
Ah.
Let me just write that down in my notes. Derek Jeter. Okay.
Jeter.
Continue,
of
Travis.
Yep.
So big shout outs to my main source, Schliemann of Troy, Treasure and Deceit by David Trail with 2 L's for knocking this asshole down a peg.
Oh, he did it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well,
That's what we do.
think
We
of-
read a source and it's like, oh, this guy helped me.
Yeah, I like to think of like the roast mortem episode as a penis, and our main source is like that thick old vein that goes all the way to the tip.
Yeah,
Like,
we're providing the fun stuff.
we're pumping the blood.
See, I would like to think of roast mortem as a penis too, but I would like to think of it as a drunk man's penis, where sometimes it works very well, but most of the time it falls flat on its face and is very embarrassing to the entire RSS feed.
It's like Schrodonger.
Heinrich Schliemann was born 1822 And here's the fun part of this episode is there's German words, but there's also Greek words. So I'm gonna have a fun time tonight.
All right.
So he was born in Neubuchau, Mecklenburg-Schwerin, Germany.
No.
Okay. Huge problem there.
Oh, stop it.
He's born in Germany.
Neubuchau?
Neubuchau.
All right. This is...
Can you put more effort than 0 into this, Travis?
Dude, I put so much effort into it.
Okay, I'm not going to stop you every time you fuck up because we have an entire episode to do. So keep going.
Sounds good to me, Travis.
Dude, just trust me, guys. It's Neubuchau.
All right.
Sounds right.
It's fine.
So before we jump into Schliemann, and I know there's a lot of exposition here going on, Tom. There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
You're like, I hate this.
Okay.
Before we jump into Schliemann, we have to go way back in time, almost 3,000 years back.
Time travel.
In order to know the story of Heinrich, you have to know the story of the fall of Troy. And to that, I'm passing the ball to our very own blind orator, Cody of Hawaii.
Thank God.
Me.
Someone who can read.
All right. Buckle up. Quick rundown of the fall of fucking Troy. I was actually confused with this because I asked Travis, like, there's fucking cupids and gods involved in this. Do you want all this mumbo jumbo nonsense in there? And Travis is like, yeah, make it ridiculous. So it's like, all right, here we go.
That's what we do.
Yeah, all right. So depending on how far back you want to go, this all started with the golden apple of discord that was made by the goddess Ares. And, like, the other goddesses of ancient Greek want it. So, like, Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena, are, like, all have this, like, boner for this golden apple. I don't know why gods want the fruit. It's weird. And they're bickering, and Zeus is like, yo, shut the fuck up. We're going to let a mortal idiot decide which one of you bitches gets it. And they go to this Trojan prince, and his name is Paris. And he's going to be a character in this whole fucking fall of Troy. And these three goddesses get naked in front of him and, like, bribe him for this
All
apple.
right.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Now we have an
Yes.
episode. Now you have something to think about.
Now we're talking about, like, a Hooters.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
instead of
All
a golden
strip-
apple,
yep.
it's a wings.
It's wings, and, like, the waitresses are like, oh, tip me with the golden apple. I'll bring you this type of wing. Hera was like, I'll bring you political power. And Athena was like, I'll bring you military power. And
If there was a fourth one to say, you can shove 10 apples inside of me.
well, Aphrodite was just like, instead of power, I'll give you a fucking waifu.
Ooh.
The cutest waifu of the land.
Oh,
Hard to resist.
Paris is like, yeah. Paris is like, oh, this is a fucking no-brainer. Give me the cute waifu.
Obviously.
Aphrodite wins, and, like, Paris throws the fucking apple at Aphrodite, and Aphrodite's like, hell yeah, apple. And then so she's like, she's got to make good on her deal.
bitch wants
So
an
she goes-
iPad.
Yeah. She wants some apple stock. So to make good on her fucking word, she goes and finds, like, she gets a cupid, you know, like one of those naked babies that's somehow okay to talk about, especially when Valentine's Day rolls around. She gets one of those naked babies to go hunt down the cutest waifu of all the land, and it happens to be none other than Helen. The Helen of, like, you know, mythology. You know, prettiest face.
Mike,
in
you
all the
following
land.
all this?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool.
Naked babies finding Helen.
Yeah, he's got it.
To me, I always associate Helen with someone with, like, a really heavy smoker's cough, maybe works in a cafeteria. Like, I don't know.
My grandma's
That's like
name
that
was
word.
Helen.
I think it's someone that's like
Yeah.
blind, deaf, and
Really?
yeah.
So he sends the naked baby Cupid to go get Helen. Problem is, Helen is married to a badass called Menelaus. And Cupid hits that bitch with the arrow, and the bitch runs away with Paris, the pretty boy. Menelaus fucking hates being cucked. He's like, God damn it, I'm going to start a war with this, like, fucking cuckoldry. And Menelaus has a brother, in the army, and his name's Agamemnon. And he's the fucking king. He's like the king, commander in chief. He's got the army, and he's like, let's go stop me from being cucked. And then they go off to rescue. They go off like send the fucking army to like do a rescue mission for this bitch Helen that doesn't want to be rescued, and that's why she's known as like the face that launched like a gajillion fucking ships.
Yeah, she's like, oh, dude, I hate this husband of mine. Like, yeah, oh no, I'm being captured.
Yeah, so they go fuck up like another like city, state, country region because of like this cuckoldry.
That's rude.
And this shit pops off for about 9 years.
Damn, it's a long time.
You know what I mean? Just back and forth, like, oh, you guys, and this is the Greeks versus the Trojans, and there's commanders on both sides, there's badasses on both sides, and the entire book of the Iliad is kind of like the back and forth between a bunch of them.
Sheesh.
This is really a terrible story.
Yeah, it drags on. The Spark Notes are way better.
Well,
So amongst
you can think about it like when you put on a Trojan condom, right? And then you have heroes. You have
Never.
hero worms. You have hero worms that come out of your penis.
Well, Travis, use the
And they fight, and
buzzword
they're-
for me right there, which is think about it, which is one word, as we know, and I just choose not to think about it.
Yeah, but there's heroes like in sperm time, right? Like, I don't know what sperms live like for like a couple days or something. They're fighting a war for 9 years. They're fighting a war for like 9 years in that Trojan.
It's a lot of sperm.
This is a war. People are losing their lives fictionally because someone lost their wife. Give me a fucking break.
Well, it depends how far you want to go back. This is because you can Tom, what Tom said is true, but you can also say this happened because some imaginary people wanted an apple. You can even go that far back.
Yeah, over a fucking
like-
golden apple.
Yeah, you can get that shit at the
fucking
supermarket. You got like 10 of them.
Can't get a gold one.
You get fucking red juicies.
Golden
Yeah,
delicious.
Fuji.
So they're fighting each other. The Agamemnon, the fucking Greek king, sacks a city, and he's like, "Oh, I found these two cute bitches in this city. I'm gonna take one for me, be my slave wife, and I'm gonna give the other one to Achilles, our fucking champion warrior, and she's gonna be his slave wife." And then Achilles' Agamemnon's ill-gotten bride's father shows up and is like, "Oh, can I have daughter back? I'll bribe you." And Agamemnon was like, "No, she that pussy too nice. I'm keeping her." And then the dad goes back, but little did Agamemnon know that dad was a priest of Apollo, and he was tight with Apollo, and so like dad priest was just like, "Apollo, can you fuck up this army because my daughter isn't being given back?" And Apollo's bored, and he's just like, "I got this." And then Apollo sends a plague and ruins the fucking Greek army, and Agamemnon's like, "Shit, I hate this. I hate being king of sick people." So he gives his wife back, but he takes Achilles' wife that he handed out. So he's like Indian giving a wife.
Damn.
Wait,
So like,
can
What?
do that?
yeah, I guess he's the fucking king of Greece.
What
Yeah.
is going on?
We're doing the
important.
Iliad
Oh,
breakdown.
God.
It's fucking
You guys
soap
should choose
opera.
more rock stars and shit. They just get drunk and fuck people up and hit people with cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the.
All right, so like,
I'm sorry, continue. Forgot what I was going to say.
good. So Achilles gets his bride taken away, and that makes him butthurt. He's just like, I have blue balls now. I'm not fighting, even though I'm the champion of the Greeks, and like, literally am the best fighter with like a 13 kill death ratio right now.
Damn, fucking
And
soldier.
he's like, I'm not fighting. Fuck yeah. He's like, I'm not fighting. You took my slave wife away. Fuck you. And then so he stops fighting, and because of this, the Greeks start losing the battle because Achilles is there butthurt because he's got blue balls. And then some interesting duels happen in the meantime. Pretty bitch Helen's ex-husband Menelaus and her current husband Paris duel. They fight it out. Paris loses like a bitch, but Aphrodite saves him before he's killed.
With that pussy, though?
That pussy, though. Aphrodite likes him because he gave her the apple. And Trojan beefcake Hector, the brother of Paris and the son of King Priam, and the Greek beefcake Ajax duel, but they duel to a very uninteresting tie. It's just like, oh, great, you guys just got tired and sweaty. That's fine too. And then because fucking your boy Achilles isn't fighting because he's got blue balls, possibly gay soldier friend Patroclus might be the gay lover of Achilles, puts on Achilles' armor and goes into battle and gets immediately killed by Hector. And it's just like, oh no, that's bad.
Drama.
And then Achilles gets super angry about this and goes on a murder spree. And people are like, how did you easily give up your wife, but you go on a murder spree for this gay guy, maybe gay guy? It's like, that's why they think he's possibly a gay lover.
Maybe they're best friends.
He goes berserk.
Yeah, maybe they're just
Yeah,
bros.
it's a
It is,
bromance.
yeah.
Bromance. And then he goes berserk, kills a bunch of Trojans after the gods give him your boy Achilles' new armor. Achilles kills Hector, the champion of the Trojans, and Achilles drags Hector's body around the city of Troy just to be like, ha, gotcha, bitch, in front of his dad.
Yeah, he ghost rides the whip on his chariot.
Damn.
Yeah, so he's dragging a dead body just to be like, gotcha. And then King Priam is watching this, like, wow, that's my dead son he's dragging around. This is great.
Wait, so all right, how does this bitch fall?
The fucking after that, Iliad ends. Paris kills Achilles. You know how that goes down. He gets shot in the knee, or not the knee. He got shot in the foot. He dies. And that avenges, the death of Hector. And then the Trojan horse thing happens. Odysseus shoves a bunch of sweaty men into a horse, and they present it as a gift. They jump out. They sack the entire city. And right about now is when the the book of the Odyssey ramps up. So it's this whole fucking winding soap opera where all you need to take away with it is Greek fight Troy, gods intervene, pettiness happens, Troy gets fucking annihilated into the dirt because of a horse.
Wow.
You're welcome.
What does this have to do with real life?
Everything. This is Homer. This is Homer
There was a
Simpson.
Cupid.
Homer Simpson wrote this.
But this is a piece of fiction that has been summarized in the longest way possible. How does this have anything to do with Heinrich
8 minutes.
Schliemann, an archaeologist, probably later
He found
Nazi?
Troy, Tom.
He found Troy.
The whole thing.
I'm so
What-
mad.
Tom,
I'm so mad right now.
what you're saying, Tom, is what everyone's like. It's just fiction. There's no bitches' asses getting golden apples. There's no Troy. It's fiction. So we're talking about the guy who finds Troy. So we're going to flash forward 3,000 years to January 6th, 1822. Heinrich prosts out of his mother's vagina.
Oh,
Congratulations.
it's a boy.
Now-
it's a Heinrich.
Yeah, Heinrich's, his full name is every German name you can imagine. It's Johann Ludwig Heinrich Julius Schliemann.
A
Adolf.
mouthful. Jesus.
Yeah. But we're not sure why, but his father, Ernst, underlined the third name on his son's birth certificate and was like, yeah, Heinrich. We're going to call him that one. Not Johann, just Heinrich.
Wow. Too lazy to even put the bold or italic on
No.
it. Just underlining this.
So Ernst, which I think might be one of my favorite names,
It is a top
I like
five
it.
for me.
Ernst.
Good.
Ernst was a real shit dad. He was a Lutheran minister. So you think, all right, high morals, real strict ass. And, well, let's just say Ernst dished that out, but he didn't practice what he preached. He's sure to, hit his children, whatever. You got to obey God. But he was a raging drunk that loved to chase the ladies. And when...
Ernst goes to the brothel.
yeah. So Ernst loved to chase ladies, and when Heinrich's mom was preggers with her 9th child, Ernst took one of the household servants as a mistress. He was like, I don't know, honey, go do your pregnant shit or whatever you want upstairs. Me and Sophie Schwartz, we're going to go touch anuses in the kitchen.
That's what the Germans
Yeah,
do.
wife, call me in 12 months when you're all sewn up again.
So, lucky for Ernst, but unfortunate for little Heinrich, his mother died shortly after giving birth to her 9th child
Oh,
due to complications.
9 kids will do that.
rest in peace.
Yeah.
Now, this whole affair didn't go over well with Ernst. With Ernst's? That's a hard
Ernst.
thing. Ernst's.
I hate it.
Ernst's congregation. Heinrich was ostracized by the community as parents told their kids not to play with the Schliemann children because they didn't want to catch the debauchery bug.
The what?
Yeah, that's
Sure.
contagious.
Debauchery bug?
Yeah, if you hang out with that little boy, you're going to be like, oh, hello, Melissa, can I see your vajayjay?
Oh,
Hey, my dad drinks a lot. Can we touch each other's underwear?
He was into debauchery.
Yeah. So eventually Heinrich was sent to live with his uncle Friedrich. And this was shortly after that, his father Ernst was suspended without pay and investigated by the church.
Ernst goes to jail.
Damn.
Ernst goes to jail. Uncle Freddie got Heinrich a tutor that taught him French, Latin, and English. You see, Heinrich was a polyglot. You know what that word means?
No, what does that mean?
Specifically a triglot.
Well, no, he was a polyglot.
The same.
What,
does
he
that
had
mean?
fat ankles?
Well, he wasn't a triglot. He was more.
Oh, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, big
so-
nipples.
No, he loved...
Yeah, that's what that means.
Yeah.
No, we're going with what Mike said.
All right,
nips.
so yeah, he has huge nipples, and he likes to get tribal writing tattooed around his nipples in different
dope.
languages.
Nice.
Yeah, like the inside of the ring from Lord of the Ring.
Yeah, around your nips.
Oh, that's hot.
So he loved languages. He learned by the end of his life, besides his native German, he knew. And this is a long list: Dutch, English, Danish, Swedish, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, Polish, ancient and modern Greek, Latin, Arabic, and he could get by in Turkish and Hebrew.
Holy shit.
At a certain point, you're just fucking showing off. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Well, I bet he didn't speak no Chinese.
No
You
way.
ain't shit.
Tom here.
What is this,
Fluent.
General Tao's? I don't want none of that. Where's my bratwurst?
Hello, it's me. I speak many languages. How are you, Vietnamese man?
So around this time, Heinrich claims that he read Homer's Iliad, the thing that Cody explained.
It's long.
It's-
It's 600
Yeah,
pages.
but he's a book nerd. He likes to. He may have read it in Greek or in Latin. But this is according to his autobiography,
Okay.
which he wrote after the discovery of Troy. Now that's a very important fact because this is something that he mentioned. Him and his father were discussing Troy. I guess his dad had a little here's the Caterpillar book on Troy. Right. This is when Heinrich was 8 years old.
All right, no, here's what's going
Yeah.
on. You said he's a drunk lush, right? So he comes home, little Heinrich sitting there learning his Chinese, and he's like, "Hi, son, I've been out drinking." Of course, I'm going with an English accent. Can't do German. Do you know why? Because I'm not a Nazi. Here we are. Hey, son, look at this. Oh, he's got a book on this, right? It's called Troy over there. All kind. You can pick your own lady. I think it's what it says. All right. I like this one. I'm going to circle these numbers, right? It's a bit here. She's got big tits. Oh, yeah, it's a big one. Oh, yeah. So this is the Book of Troy now. That's what he probably
Tupac,
knew
Dad.
on Troy, because his dad was a
Yeah,
German
so-
asshole.
Yeah.
So little baby Heinrich was like, well, I'm going to go find that city. And his dad, Ernst, is like, that shit doesn't exist. It's a fucking myth. Then he
Yeah.
puked in his own mouth or something.
Crushing his dreams.
Heinrich's like, no, it's not. If those walls once existed, they cannot possibly be completely destroyed. Vast
Wow.
ruins of them must remain, but they're hidden away underneath the dust of ages.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So this 8-year-old's talking like that in 1830. And he claims to have made an agreement with his father and childhood sweetheart, Mina, that he would one day excavate it.
He's a very smart kid.
Yeah, the problem with this whole thing is it definitely didn't happen. Sure, Heinrich may have read the Iliad, but he never was obsessed with Troy. In fact, we'll see that along his adult life, he really couldn't give a shit about Troy.
Oh, wow.
But he wrote this autobiography after he found Troy. So he's like, I'm going to fit the narrative of my life to what I found.
Seems
I can think of a
revisionist.
whole bunch of people who don't give a shit about Troy, so I believe that.
So, yeah, we're going to find a lot of embellishment.
Wait, so he didn't give a shit about Troy ever, but he found it?
Well, he only started, like, giving a shit, and he
Once he found it?
Yeah, and then he rewrote his life to, like, fit
Make it
that
seem
narrative,
like it was destiny?
Yeah.
right? Like, he was like,
Okay.
He's 8 years old talking like a fucking 30-year-old.
yeah.
Makes sense.
So,
According to him.
yeah, so Heinrich becomes an apprentice grocer, which, that's what you could be back then. And then he learns how to bookkeep and eventually becomes a wholesale dealer. Got all these onions. I don't know what to do with them. You want them?
Onion
Put
dealer.
him in the swamp.
So Heinrich is doing pretty well for himself, and he decides, I need to find a wife. I'll need a wife.
Yeah, we all have that. We all have that time in our life.
Not me.
Yeah.
Never.
So as I mentioned, he had a childhood sweetheart named Mina. He's like,
Mina.
she's like, oh, she'll do. So he sends her a letter saying that he wants to get engaged. Because he's moved out of his hometown. He's like, I don't know, Mina, let me write a letter to this lady.
What's that girl's name again? Moining Marinara Mina. Dear Mina.
Some good German
It's
right
me, Heinrich.
The two hadn't seen each other in years, and whoops, Mina's married. So,
there. Uh-oh.
Because there was no Facebook to stalk your ex on.
yeah, right?
You didn't have that shit. You
Yeah.
had to rely on carrier pigeons that got killed by wild cats.
So Heinrich's like, all right, I gotta find a wife. So he sends another letter out to Sophie Hecker, which was a German woman with a rich family that lived in St. Petersburg, Russia. Again, these two had never met. These two had never met, and this was just a cash grab for him to get in with a wealthy family.
I mean, he's basically doing what every woman does today.
Yeah, he's gold digging.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know you, but can I pork you and take your money?
Sure.
I don't care if you got a unibrow or your skin is falling off. I love you.
That's true love right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Heinrich relocates to St. Petersburg, the frozen tundra wasteland.
Wait, was his proposal successful?
No, he said-
or was he just like,
No, he sends the letter down, and he's like, all right, I gotta meet this girl now. So he goes to St. Petersburg, and he meets her family, and they're like, nah, Sophie, you gotta marry someone rich. Come on.
Oh no.
That's gotta
That's
hurt.
when you get like a job interview and like you're like, I got the job, but and then you don't get it later. But it's like when you just applied for the job and you have that confidence.
Feels
you're like,
good.
This is in the bag. And it's going on top of like 1,000 other applicants, and they throw yours out just because you're I don't know, not the first one.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe
you
I
put-
should've
you
worn
put,
shoes to that interview.
Yeah, you put on your like desirable skills, like I eat Cheetos.
Yeah.
I can open bags.
I'll suck the orange dust off of your fingers.
I can tie my shoes
Oh,
very
God.
quickly.
So Heinrich strikes out again, and he's like, marriage thing's not working out.
Two tries where he barely knew the
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah.
He's done.
So, but then opportunity knocks. So Heinrich had a brother named Louis who had,
I'll marry him.
Louis had set out to California in 1849 to cash
Oh,
in on the
shit.
gold rush.
Oh. Well, it's better than cashing in on the dysentery.
Yeah, right. So this little German guy goes off to California. Yeah. And Louis realizes right away the money isn't in gold. It's the money. The real money's in real estate, right? You got all these dirt men.
Still true to this day.
Got all these dirt
Yeah.
men, and like they're digging. They need somewhere to sleep.
Well, there was that really, what was that really famous book that kind of talked about? Oh, yeah, The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. It kind of goes over the same concept. It's great stuff.
Don Trump. Well, his secret.
The J stands for genius.
His secret is once you get the real estate, you got to fill everything you can with gold.
Yeah.
Most
'Cause
tacky
then you have
interiors.
both things.
Yeah.
Where's the joke?
Well, so Lewis sends a letter out to Heinrich. He's like, yo, get your ass to America. Strike while the iron's hot. Because he immediately sounds like Chris Farley because he moved to America.
Yeah.
And so Heinrich is like, meh, I'm still trying to find my wife in this frozen tundra in Russia. I'm good. Don't worry about it. But then Heinrich gets a letter that Lewis had died. And like a vulture, Heinrich boards a ship in December 1505 and heads out to Cali to recover Lewis's assets.
Wife included?
Whoa. I don't know. I think Louis was probably just worried about gold. He was like, oh, we got to gold.
But out California way, you just gotta take the needles off a cactus and that's extra dad. Then you don't even think about woman.
Here's where we see Heinrich's exaggeration kick in. He claims on his trip to America that he landed in New York and traveled down to Washington, D.C., where he interviewed President Fillmore.
And what did he have
Why-
to say?
Yeah, well, why would the U.S. president just talk to a random German wholesaler? Just like, it's great to talk to you.
It's the
sir."
1800s.
I'm very busy. Oh, a German grocery man? Let him in.
Yeah, so that shit didn't happen, but he writes about it in his biography. Then he makes his way from D.C. He sailed around to Panama, crossed the Isthmus, and then sailed on to San Francisco to reclaim Lewis's real estate. So using his wholesaler skills and the fact that he was German, he scores a connection with the Rothschilds and becomes their main agent, moving gold from California back to the old world.
I like how you said wholesaler.
Yeah.
Like the butthole surfers, just people that sail on holes.
So we all know the Rothschilds, they control the global economy right now.
So he's in the Illuminati
Yeah.
Yes. Reptilians.
or reptilians?
Between October 1851 and April 1852, Heinrich moved $1.3 million worth of gold dust for the Rothschilds.
Damn.
So in that currency today, with the conversion, that's $44 million.
Sheesh.
Good.
A lot of money.
Yeah. So we're not sure why, but less than 2 years in California, and Heinrich returns. He gives it all up shortly after this April 1852 date. He returns back to St. Petersburg.
Oh, trying to get the chick?
Yeah, exactly. So
Oh, yeah.
he
that
kept
makes
saying that he kept getting a fever, which was quite common for Europeans that moved to California. It's just too nice there.
Yeah.
He came from
Yeah.
St. Petersburg. I mean,
It's not a fever. It's called the sun. And it comes out and it
Yeah.
warms your body up.
so he returns a rich man and immediately proposes again to Sophie Hecker.
Oh, come on.
He's like,
Hey, I'm rich now.
yeah,
You gotta go for someone different. She shot you down.
I have more money. You have less teeth and way less eggs in your ovaries. Let's do it, baby.
so she's like, yeah, nah.
Ooh, struck out
My
twice.
bitch.
Even with money, he must have been fucking.
Think he's ugly, Mike?
Yeah. Was he ugly? Was he ugly?
He was pretty dashing. I'd say he's a dashing.
I was dead. Wow.
Surprising.
He's like, fuck, I gotta get married. I have to get married.
He looks like Mr. Mackey from South Park.
Yeah?
He's not dashing.
Yeah?
He's got like a
look
balloon
at
head.
Look at that mustache.
We're talking 1800s, late
If you put a
1800s. Be
comically
mindful.
villainous mustache on Mr. Mackey, that's what he would look like.
All right, so this Mr. Mackey with an evil mustache, he's got to find a wife. He has to find a wife. He's like,
Why?
gotta get married.
Yeah, I got to ask again, why? Just because he wants
No, it's-
so bad?
It's 1800s. You just like have to do that.
This is like the equivalent of like Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. Why? Just because, man. It's in the script.
Everyone
Yeah.
will think I play too much World of Warcraft if I don't get a wife.
So
self-conscious.
he finds someone finally. Her name was Katerina Lishkin. I don't know. We don't really know how
Sounds
they
like a
met.
sex move.
Katerina found her.
Great.
So the two of them
Hooters-
live in Russia.
Hooters waitress.
Two of them live in Russia.
Okay.
And Heinrich grows his wealth by trading in indigo, saltpeter, brimstone, and metals. This is all while Katerina is spitting out babies. She had
Wow.
3 babies.
What's her high score? What's
Just
her high
3.
score?
Just 3. But it's not a very long career.
Oh.
The two were not a happy married couple. Probably because they married without each other actually meeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's another one of those situations where, like, I will marry you, via letter.
Oh, wow. One of those pen pal
She
shits.
took the bait
Yeah.
because she's a whore and he's a chump.
Yeah.
Send
Yeah.
me an etching of
Yeah,
yourself.
this is the kind of couple you don't invite over to dinner.
No. Very terrible conversations.
What do you think they talked about?
Brimstone
Kater-
and saltpeter.
Katerina bought a new succulent the other day.
It died immediately.
She touched it.
So Heinrich also would go on these 6 to 10 month business trips around the world searching for commodities to sell. So the two didn't really even see each other that often.
He was banging puss.
Yeah, exactly. Heinrich had borrowed a little bit from his old Papa Ernst.
Ernst.
He was not.
Ernst.
You never want to owe money to a man named Ernst.
Yeah, right?
Never.
Heinrich was never really faithful. He openly flirted and grabbed the ass of the household staff. And Katerina was not very happy, because Heinrich's out there on business trips getting, little wieners sucked.
That's one way.
How
of
did she
putting it.
find out?
Yeah.
How did she
little
find
wieners
out?
sucked.
I don't know.
Is this like 1850s and there's no like fucking phones and
Because there was another woman's lipstick on the inside of his urethra.
Well,
damn.
he would actually write about how much he loved Mina, like to his wife, and be like, "Oh, I miss Mina. She was such a nice girl."
Damn.
I missed my first choice.
That would kill her self-esteem. Shit.
Right? So Heinrich's like, "I gotta get out of this shit. I made a mistake. I don't like having children or wife." So
Put the kids back. I don't want
put
the
him
kids.
back. Return.
Refund.
2-year policy.
Yeah, he's like, "I need a divorce. I gotta get a divorce
Right now.
now." Right
Yeah,
now.
he says that in bed, mid-thrust.
Problem was in Russia. Russia's very orthodox, and getting
yeah.
Orthodox Christian and getting a divorce is not easy.
Well, I'll just kill my wife then.
I mean, that's probably an option for him.
It's always an option.
Russians are
Not a great one.
Russians are sneaky.
They sure are.
Yeah. They make this Rube Goldberg, and at the end of it is a fucking stiletto that just hangs over her bed.
Well, yeah, we roasted Rasputin. I mean, I tried to kill that guy 8 times.
Yeah,
He's a tough
that
sucker.
barely counts though, because he was just like a walking cancer man.
Yeah, with a giant dong.
Yeah, but
Always
Cody,
hard.
imagine this Rube Goldberg you just mentioned, but instead of it being something like an axe or the bottom side of a boot that kicks you off of a building, it's just divorce papers.
Uh-huh.
Now you didn't divorce her,
Yeah.
but something put it into motion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just wait for a horse to
Just
go
the stamp
by,
comes down.
set it up, and just wait, and then call her to the table at a certain point. As you've timed it out,
Well,
it's
when this
exactly
happened?
16 minutes as it goes around the building with all the marbles and icicles dropping off in this cold, cold place. And all of a sudden, she's sitting there eating a piece of wood because that's what Russians do. And all of a sudden, you have divorce papers. what are the Orthodox going to do about that? Nothing.
Just
Well,
happened.
Oops, didn't mean for that horse to
Come
come
on, try
by.
that wood.
I'm just picturing the scene from Gladiator where his wife and kid get trampled, and he's just like, "Yes."
Yes.
So Heinrich has a plan. He decides to go on vacation.
Nice.
Yeah.
we've talked about it on other episodes. Europeans used to do a thing called the Grand Tour.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is traveling around Europe, checking out the ancient sites and getting cultured and shit. You go around, you're like, the Romans lived here, the Greeks lived here.
That sounds like fun.
This is France. We have wine.
That's the culture from France. Nothing else is worth it. Just they got great booze.
Yeah.
Omelette au fromage.
It's like grapes. It's like grapes, but you laugh a lot when you eat them.
I don't even like croissants that much. Just give me a fucking grape.
So, all right. He goes on this grand tour, but it was also very excellent timing because he was facing fraud charges from a business associate that he had dicked over, and the associate was going bankrupt. So he's like, I'm going vacation, bye. I hate my wife.
Oh, yeah.
So Heinrich tours all over Europe, North Africa, Italy, and the Middle East, picking up languages as he goes. And if you notice, I mentioned Italy, but an important place, Greece. He didn't go there. He took several grand tours, devoted his life, before devoting his life to archaeology, but he never visited the place that he claimed that he was searching for since he was a kid. You'd think that'd be like number one place to go, right?
Yeah, right.
If he had such a fucking rigid hard-on for it, it'd be somewhere in his world tour.
Yeah.
Good point.
So Heinrich had somehow developed a taste for Greek women. Feta.
Oh, olive oil. That's just the taste of Greek women is just olive oil.
Yeah.
You ever seen a Greek ass before? Man, they got fucking asses.
He also got that feta, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it gets a bit of feta, a little
Make
extra
good gyros.
hair. So, the hair is good because then you know that you're playing in the right field.
It's ripe.
Yeah, got some mantequilla on there.
That's a Spanish word.
That's close enough to Greek. So
right.
He's
he
right.
I have
right.
alternatives,
You
but
know he's
fine.
right.
So he probably met a few Greek women through his friend, because he wasn't in Greece, through his friend Theolatus Vimpos. Theolathadios Vimpos.
That's the
I know
that's
you're
the
trying.
seventh most Greek name I've heard this week.
Yeah. So after his short tour, he wrote Vimpos. He's like, yo, you got to find me one of them Greek wives that love the salad, and I want them gyro vulvas. Give me them. Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And Vimpo's like, I got you. But wait a minute. You're married, and you can't divorce in Russia. And Heinrich's like, I got this. So Heinrich sets sail. Heinrich sets sail to America again. Now Heinrich had already started filing his papers to get U.S. citizenship back in 1851. He returns in 1868, so after the Civil War and everything,
Ooh.
and he hopes to gain.
Long time.
He hopes to gain his citizenship now.
Remember me?
Yeah,
Back.
I met your president. So now he's rich, and he buys up all these businesses and properties. He invests heavily in the railroad, especially down in American-controlled Cuba. Almost the entire rail system was owned by Heinrich Schliemann in Cuba.
Wow.
He then fudges some numbers, saying that he had been living there longer than he had, and heads over to Indiana, where the divorce laws were the loosest. You could divorce someone without the other person knowing.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
So he goes to court for the divorce, saying divorces Katerina without even... She didn't even receive a letter. She's like, divorce now, we're done, bye.
Wow.
Well, why not?
Usually when you file divorce papers, there's a blank that says reason for wanting divorce. And what did he write? Just thick Greek ass? Ass thicker than Greek yogurt?
Yeah.
I just had to double check.
Fair enough,
I
sir.
was just while you guys were talking, I actually double checked, and I was totally right. Greeks have great asses.
No, that's what
I
you're doing.
gotta check this out.
How do you
I
say
gotta do
butt in
research
Greek?
myself.
Greek.
I'm pretty sure it's
Buttocks.
the same in Spanish. It's culo.
Cool.
See, I told you, it's the same. Spanish and Greek are the same.
I hate that you made
just made me
Travis
right,
right.
dog.
You just did. He's not gonna let. He's gonna remember this until his fucking deathbed.
If he doesn't
Tom.
ask for bathroom, I think the rest of the words are different.
Oh, baño! Hey, guess what? I ate too much spinach.
That's
I ate
Spanish,
too much
Travis.
spinach. Gotta go to the baño. All right.
Fine.
So Heinrich dips out of America right after the divorce papers. He's like, I don't know these businesses and houses, whatever. Like, I'm just going to leave. Bye-bye. And he goes on another grand tour. Again, not visiting the sites of his Homeric legends that, we had talked about and his supposed lifelong passions. He does, though, pick up an interest in archaeology. And he visits a few digs at Pompeii that were dug by a famous archaeologist at the time, Florelli. Some Italian dude. He's digging at Pompeii. He's like, this is a room they jerked off in. You see that little volcano boy? He's a great person.
Did you see the volcano guy that didn't stop jerking off when the volcano erupted?
Yeah, that's me.
He's just,
but you're alive,
He's
Travis.
just on his bed.
I know, but I live next to like mega volcanoes here in Portland that could go up at any second, and I want to be caught with my hand on my penis.
You're spreading fake news, Travis.
Travis, I guarantee you that if those things go off, you have at least 10 seconds to put your cock in your hand and pose for eternity.
That's going to be me.
Gonna grip it.
They'll look back to like, oh, what were the 2020s like? And they'll just use me as an example.
Never forgetty.
They'll see your hand and they'll go, wow,
right.
Cocks in 2020 sure were small.
Yeah, so that's why you gotta like claw grip it so they think like your cock was like the size of like a telephone pole. You know what I mean?
Feel bad about themselves in the future.
You gotta die like doing like pretend you're holding like a fucking football or something.
Yeah.
You're a giant chode like me.
But that probably would backfire for Travis too, because it'd be like, "Whoa, look at this man's bone size. He was probably holding a bowl of nacho cheese
Or raccoon."
So Heinrich, after seeing this archaeologist at Pompeii, seeing these people like jerking off, Heinrich was like, "I'm gonna just give this a shot. This sounds like a cool thing to do." And with
Jerking off?
and with little to no knowledge, he starts digging. Now, think of this kind of as a old man with a metal detector. He's like in his 40s. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Like, I'm just gonna go metal detecting, dude.
Hey, metal detecting's cool as
That sounds
shit.
like fun.
Well, yes. Okay, so while I do think metal detecting is awesome, when it's done at actual historic sites, it's no better than looting in my book.
Why?
You know what I mean? If
Really?
you're gonna go to Gettysburg and like do a metal detector, what I talked about in the beginning of the episode, you're taking context from a historical site.
Okay,
that
this
can
is
never
where
be
we differ.
replaced.
Okay, finders keepers. All right, fuck history. None of it matters. Tell the story. You get the story right. You're not gonna tell the story if a couple guys pick up a couple flat buttons from a campsite that's 120 years old. That doesn't change anything.
Dude, I saw like a archaeological examination of a like small skirmish of the Civil War, and they were actually able to like show the positions that people were firing in because of the discharge from the guns. So you have some idiot that's like, "Oh, I found this chicken wing and someone ate it."
All right. Well, Travis. Well, next time I see you, we're gonna fight.
All right.
And we're gonna fight over if metal detecting is badass or not.
We'll live stream it.
You're in agreement. It is.
No,
It's
yeah, just
Travis
don't do it on
wants
the beach.
The protocol.
Do it on the beach.
Because
do
then
it
it's
in
not
the
worth
woods.
doing. You need to pick up history, dog.
All right.
I'm going to Gettysburg.
Travis agrees too, but Travis just wants the proper
Yeah, and
paperwork done before.
And stay away from like historical sites.
Oh, you want daddy government to tell you where it can dig or not? It should be your constitutional right to go out with a metal detector anywhere you want.
It should be your historical conscience of recording mankind to not disturb these sites.
Nah, dig it the fuck up.
Just have a license when you dig it the fuck up. You're just missing the step.
License for what? Why are we licensing this?
License to dig.
Because if anyone does it, you're just fucking shit up. You just need to be on the proper dig crew that like documents the shit.
No,
And
no.
archaeologists today don't use metal detectors. They use ground penetrating radar, which is like a device. I've used one. It's like this like little cart, like meal cart. You walk back and forth. They don't use metal detectors.
Yeah.
Well, fuck them.
Because you're just looking for like a certain little blip thing. Like a ground penetrating radar will pick up much more, and you can get an idea of what's going on underground.
a shitty metal detector that you get on like a $120 one you get on Amazon. Yeah, it just picks up fucking nails and all that shit. Boop. But like a real metal detector, you can tell it what kind of metal you want to be picking up. And and it will tell you how deep it is.
Ground penetrating radar will tell you about organic material or stone, or you can map out something underneath the ground.
And you thought I was nerding out with the fucking Iliad. Fuck
yeah, no, that's true. I just like dirty history.
We'll see how an amateur digger deals with this. Okay. So Heinrich climbs up Mount Athos, and he's with the guide, and with the help of 4 workers, he starts digging around. So here is the major flaw with Heinrich. Everything that he finds, he places in the world of Homer's epics. So he's like,
"Oh, good!
I found this pot. It must be the one that Ajax drank from."
Yeah, he finds a cock ring, and it's just like, that's Diomedes.
Yeah,
he had a wife with a thick finger.
Wow.
Everything he does this. He sees a cave on his way up. He's like, "That's the cave of the nymphs. That's what Homer was writing about. There's a whole bunch of horny chicks in there. It's in the Odyssey. Trust me."
Oh, shit. Let's go in this cave.
It'll be an honor to jerk off in there, men.
Imagine the rush from that, just being like, I'm the first man to jerk off on this artifact in at least 8,000 years.
I love this history. I love this history. Also, probably just a cave. Even better.
Yeah. They're just some cave. He's jerking off in some random cave.
Yeah, it's like a septic tank.
Then he unearths some type of building on the mountain. He's like, this is the palace of Ulysses. So he starts...
That's an outhouse, sir.
Yeah, he starts fishing around in there. And most of what archaeologists find at these sites are pottery. Loads and loads of pottery. Tons of pots. So you think about it like when you eat and drink something... All right, when I'm done with the soda, Tom, you mentioned it or you love it, you just throw it on the ground, right in the ocean.
Good for the environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shows the environment who's boss.
Yeah. So that's what these guys are doing. They'd use their pots and pans, they'd leave them behind. There's actually a whole branch of archaeology and countless databases devoted to the types of pots. Archaeologists can pinpoint an age just by how they did these pots.
Yeah, people got to heat up beans.
Wow.
Yeah, is it
somehow?
Is it Gorilla Glue? Is it AK-47? What type of pot is it?
Oh man, you're just making weed jokes.
Dank.
He did
Some
it.
dank pot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I spilled my beer.
I saw
it. See, now just leave that can there and let it sit there for 1,000 years. You made archaeology.
I gotta move out of this place first before I just leave shit willy nilly. I'm not you.
So you have to be very careful with pottery, especially because it's thousands of years old.
It's fragile.
Yeah, I mean, if I have a pot, I break most of them nowadays, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are 1,000-year-old pots. They're gonna be very probable.
Yeah, you'll break things all the time.
Yeah. So you're lucky to find one you're lucky to even find a pot that's intact. Heinrich is here, hacking away, smashing pots. He's mainly looking for gold coins and like weapons.
Yeah.
You know, the cool shit.
Maybe there'll be some pottery shards inside this intact pot. Better smash it open.
I could get down with where he's coming from because pots are dumb. You only need a couple.
They're meant. Yeah, the good things are inside of it, like a Kinder egg.
Yeah, exactly. I got one to boil my egg. I got one to make a bacon inside. I am set for life.
Well, he actually found one with a Kinder egg that was filled with calcified bones. Just threw that shit down the mountain. I don't eat bones. I don't eat bones. Whatever.
I just imagine him doing it overhead, like they make you do when you're playing soccer. You know, like just.
Or maybe the reverse of that, just overhead but behind him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Don't eat this. What is this shit? So, okay, whatever. This is his first dig. He doesn't really know what he's doing. But he had caught his archaeology bug. And from this point on, he's like, this shit's cool. I can find coins and swords underground.
And they're mine.
Okay, he's got the Minecraft bug. So now, the search for Troy was something that Heinrich Schliemann had not started. People have been looking for this city. I mean, it's such a famous... We knew about Homer... and the Battle of Troy and Ulysses, all these famous things for centuries.
Yeah.
It's like arguably one of the biggest battles in the world in collective consciousness, right?
The thing of
Yeah.
legend.
Right. So you wouldn't know the fact that people were looking for Troy before Schliemann because he had published so much bullshit since he had found this thing that it made it seem like he was the only one that was looking for it and he was the one that found it. Like when I went to school for archaeology, we talked about Schliemann and it was like he found Troy. End of sentence.
Cool.
Like he is the one who found it. Yeah.
Wow.
So in reality, there were two sites that people thought could be the site of Troy. Both of them were in modern day Turkey because that's where
Turkey.
That's where
Oh, wow.
Troy. That's where the Trojan Empire was. One of them was a place called Bernabashi Bali Dag. Yeah. So Schliemann took a little tour of the place. You know, there was some excavations ongoing there, and he wasn't convinced because in the Iliad, Achilles chases Hector around the city walls a few times, and Heinrich is like, dude, the site needs to be smaller than this. People can't run around this. Also, where are the Geo Springs?
Are you kidding me?
Obviously.
Are you kidding me? Like, oh, people can't run around this, but the part about the Cupid shooting fucking Helen in the ass, that's, wow. Just the logic is fucking gymnasticked up. Wow. It's not, no, it's the wrong size.
Yeah, right?
Fucking wrong size.
Dude, I mean, he's got a golden apple, and like...
Gods want this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Heinrich meets the American vice consul to Turkey, back when we had consuls and not ambassadors.
Ambassadors?
Riplomats.
Yeah. So he met the consul to Turkey, this guy named Frank Calvert. Very American name. Frank.
Sounds like he's from
Frankie.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he told
Frank-
me, told me they got a job over in a country named Turkey, and I say I love a good turkey sandwich. I'll get over there any day. You know, you see me on over there, give me some, make sure they get some eggs so I can make some fresh mayonnaise Hellman style.
Yeah, do an open face.
Gobble, gobble.
He shows up. What the fuck is a kebab? What is baba ganoush? What the fuck's going on over here? What, I gotta be speaking of turkey like? Gobble gobble. I thought it was easy.
Yeah, so that's how he was when he showed up. But he had been studying the area for the past 20 years. So this guy is like the main. This dude knows this area, and he had been looking for Troy for 20 years in this area. He's got nothing
cool.
better to do.
Searching.
He's a diplomat. He's got nothing better to do.
Wow.
Doing any weed.
Yeah, diplomats. You could just park anywhere and just be like, local customs. We got him.
Yeah. So he's like, "Yo, Schliemann, you ever hear about this place called Hisarlik?" And Schliemann's like, no, what is that? What happens there? So Schliemann, the Troy expert, right, has no clue what Hisarlik is. And this had been happening for hundreds of years. They assumed that Hisarlik could have been the site of Troy. There was the name Hisarlik translates to place of fortresses. First of all, so that's kind of like a signal, right? And then there's actually a mound there called the Tomb of Ajax. So people had already assumed that Hisarlik was Troy, right? But like, here's fucking Schliemann, and this is not just like local knowledge. This extends throughout, the world. Like, Hisarlik's probably Troy. We don't know it, but it's probably Troy.
This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Troy is not a real place, correct? Just.
That's
No,
the
we found it.
contention.
We found it.
Yeah, you found it. It's in Turkey.
All right, well,
Yeah.
I'm glad NASA's out there looking for fucking Endor with all our tax money.
Hopefully they find it.
So Frank Calvert, like I said, is the top authority in the subject. He had been investigating the surrounding area for the past 20 years. He'd actually done some preliminary excavations in the area. So Heinrich and Calvert met, and they discussed the possibility that, is this the lost city of Troy? And Heinrich's like, dude, you could run around it. Must be.
Come on.
You can run pretty easily.
Yeah.
That's fucking Ancient Aliens type shit. So,
Right.
Well, it's got a finite circumference.
So Calvert, he was an ambassador, but he didn't have infinite funds like Heinrich did. And so Heinrich was like, yeah, no problem. Like, I could totally fund this dig. Like, let's do it.
Wait, Travis, I have a question.
Yeah.
So they're finding like buildings and shit. You said they found like fucked up buildings.
At this point, there's a big ass it's a big ass mound, maybe like some like tiny little bit of wall exposed.
And just pots.
They didn't.
stuff
Well,
like
they didn't
that?
even. Yeah,
Pottery.
I mean, they saw that like Calvert had been doing digs, so he'd been finding like pots and stuff, but he didn't know for certain that this was Troy. He thought it was.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Okay.
and history
like
kind of says that it could have been.
I just like the notion
okay.
of funding a dig.
Yeah.
Like, I understand digs take money, but just the fact that someone's like, "Well, we don't have enough money to play in the dirt today. Shut it down."
I guess, Travis, you kind of figured it out before. You know, they weren't playing in the dirt with paintbrushes like they do today.
Yeah.
They're just using backhoes.
Jackhammers.
Well, they were. The real archaeologists were. Heinrich wasn't, and we'll talk a lot about that.
Aye, sounds good to me.
Yeah, Heinrich finishes up his little trip and returns with a new quest to become an archaeologist. He buys some property in Paris and starts studying history, literature, probably Homer, just like constantly. And around this time, Vimpos, our Greek boy, comes back. He's like, dude, got some potential Greek wives for you.
Yeah. Potential Greek wives.
Fuck yeah.
So like a little Greek Tinder boy, Vimpos sends Heinrich a bunch of pictures and brief descriptions of the women that he had found.
It's a good friend.
Yeah.
How come you guys learned that from me?
So Heinrich narrows it down to two women. A woman named Polyxena Gusti.
Oh, Gusty. Was
Yeah.
the other one named Teeth?
Teeth.
Yeah, Teeth McGee.
So no, it's Polyxena Gusti, who was around the age 47, which was roughly where Schliemann was. And the other one was Sophie Ingastrominos.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That sounds
so-
like what I get after eating too many eggs.
So Heinrich's like, Gusti. Gusti does not sound Greek to me. That sounds Italian. I don't want it.
Doesn't sound like a woman to me. That would be my first thing. He's like, did you just put a wig on a man named Gus and shuffle him into my Tinder matches?
Yeah.
What am I paying you for?
So he's like, I don't know. Gusti would probably make an excellent housekeeper, because she's 47. She's seasoned. She's probably done it
Yeah.
before. But
She's probably done it before.
She was in the room, blew him right out.
yeah,
Gusty, no!
Yeah, let me get a Gus job.
yeah. But so then he's like, but Sophie Gastrominos. I mean, how many syllables are in that last name? Lots. That's Greek. That's
Yeah.
got to be Greek. It's got a Minos
Love
in
it.
there.
Sounds Greek.
And wait, what's this? She's only 19. And then Schliemann's like,
Oh, shit.
that's a little young. That's way too young. He's like, Vimpos.
They're in Greece.
Yeah,
no,
he-
it's not.
No, he's like, that's way too young. Vimpos, can you give her this form? And she can fill out all of her hobbies, family lineage, whether or not she plays piano, what foreign language
Fucking Tinder.
she knows, and most importantly, is she a good housekeeper? But she's too young. I don't want a 19-year-old.
I'm not interested, but if you don't mind, could you find out how big them tits are? And
important.
possibly the waist size. Let's see if she fill this out. First one, questionnaire, yes or no. Do you like pina coladas? Getting caught in the rain.
It sounds like a Greek hero. Penis coladas.
Yeah.
Penis coladas. She's into
Jimmy
yogurt
Buffet?
and she's into eating melmucanuna.
Yeah, that's my stage name. Penis colossus.
Yeah. So there was this whole back and forth where Heinrich was like, she's too young. I can't. And then but then Sophie,
The guilt.
yeah, but then Sophie and her family were like, this guy's loaded. Sophie, show them titties. Do a little cleavage. Do a little cleavage, dude.
Do a little cleavage.
Yeah. So at some point,
Wow, selling their own daughter.
yeah, Heinrich's like, oh, too young, too uneducated. And then he writes back to her with this deeply in love, cheesy Homeric references to her Greek beauty, right? Like, he's like, oh, Athens and Aphrodite would love to lick Uranus. I would love to be your Benecupera.
I want to be your salad dressing, baby.
Well, remember what the guy looks like. He's got that big ass head, so he's like, "You're
Mr.
like
Mackey.
some Greek marble, okay? You're some shit I can wrap my hands around and make love to all night, okay?"
Yeah, so they met only once, and then they got married within the week, and Schliemann moved to Athens to smash that Spanakopula.
Couldn't even get that one right.
Yeah,
No.
Spanakopula. Did I say what I say?
You said Spanakopula, like Francis Ford Spanakopula.
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now Heinrich is living in Athens, and he's like, it's time to excavate the fabled city of Troy. So
Ooh, yeah.
Schliemann hits up Calvert, and he's like, I got the money, and you pretty much know how to dig, so let's start digging. Let's go to Hisarlik and find the Troy.
Oh.
Sick. All right.
Yeah.
It's happening. Yay.
So Calvert's like, fuck yeah. Little did he know, Calvert, Schliemann would essentially claim all the credit for finding and excavating Troy, writing Frank Calvert completely out of the history books. And when I say writing him out of the history books, it wasn't until 1993 that people realized, wait, Schliemann was working with Calvert, and Calvert was the one that found it and was really the brains behind the dig.
Oh, wow.
So
There you go.
yeah, and so digging began in 1870. So all that time, everyone's like, Schliemann did it all himself. And he wrote this guy
Schliemann.
out of history. Digging began in 1870 in April. Schliemann started it without getting a permit from the Turkish authorities.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's fine. Who cares?
Well, he would later kick himself for it because you got to get a permit when you're digging somewhere. You can't just go like,
Always.
Tom, all right, you say who cares, but
Gotta pay
Tom,
taxes.
you say who cares, but like you just bought your new house, all of a sudden someone's in your backyard digging around for pooch bones.
Oh, it's like that King of the Hill episode.
That's what the Second Amendment's for. You shoot their
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah. So, for 2 seasons, Schliemann was digging at Hisarlik, and he uncovered massive walls of houses and other structures. But in
Oh, wow.
terms of artifacts, it was a bit scarce. He was digging up tons of pottery, bunch of bones, bunch of coins. You know, Schliemann likes coins, but he
Ooh,
doesn't like
cool.
bones or pottery.
What do you mean? The bones are pretty cool, too.
How many bones you got, Mike?
I have 0 bones, but I want like a skeleton. Pretty cool.
Well, I mean, that does check out because the guy with 0 bones definitely is going to think bones are pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I have 0 tits, and I think tits are great.
All right. I see what
Yeah,
you're saying.
for sure.
I had tits once. They were
Your
right.
tits weren't great.
No.
Your
I-
tits were discouraging.
Mike,
Yeah, they were
Mike, if
just-
I knew you when you had tits,
yeah.
I'd make you feel beautiful. All I'm saying.
Well, thanks, Travis.
I don't even want to pick this one apart.
That's weird. Moving on.
So, he's just digging up this shit. He's like, also, here's this little side note. So I said he likes coins because like coins are shiny.
Yep.
People are like, I like coins. I don't know what a coin is. I know I love these things. So Schliemann would collect all of the coins that he had found on his digs in the trench. And then he
Yeah.
would compile them all together and drop them in a hole and be like, look, it's a hoard of coins.
Oh.
Ooh.
A horde.
Nice. Well, it's one step better than dropping them in a Pepsi machine.
Yeah.
What's he trying to prove, though? I guess he has a lot of them by
Well,
putting them in
I
a
mean,
hole.
what's more exciting if you're like a newspaper, like, oh, guy finds like Roman
Oh,
coin
okay,
or
yeah, I
something,
guess you mean.
or like Greek
Like a
coin,
man
or
finds,
like,
like, a
guy
ton of
finds
money
like 30
on the ground or
bucks worth
something
of
like
Greek
that.
coin.
He's
Florida
frozen.
man.
Yeah,
Fuck.
very simple, Mike. It's math. 2 headlines: Man finds $10, or man finds $110.
Yeah.
Yeah. There, clear as day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So finally, by 1872, he had been digging. This is his 3rd season. Heinrich was like, fuck this. I mentioned the tomb of Ajax, which was this giant mound. He's like, I'm going to dig a massive trench right through the middle of this thing. Like, fuck everything.
Go wrong.
Like, I'm going to,
Damn.
Calvert's like, let's take our time. Let's go through. Let's hit all these different layers. He's like, nah, we're going right through the middle.
Definitely Troy.
Yeah, and Calvert and other archaeologists were like, dude, you can't do that. And Schliemann was like, fuck it. I'm knocking down every wall I
Watch
see.
me.
Let's go deeper and deeper. And the trench is actually still visible today. And you can just see massive breaks in these walls, right?
Wonder who did that.
Well,
Who did
it's
that?
called Schliemann's Trench. Schliemann's Great Trench.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That sounds like a disease.
So
Do you want to uncover history,
It
or do you
does.
want to make it? That's the question being presented right now.
yeah, all right. Well,
I mean, Hitler's in the history books.
He answered that question. How he did that is not so
okay.
great. Can't really get
Got it.
behind that one.
Sure.
But he answered that question. He answered it. He got the binary part right. He got the how he wanted to do it wrong. You understand?
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Like, he could have also made history if he decided, oh man, I'm like a little bit Jewish. How about I feed every Jewish person? First guy in Germany to feed every Jewish person, even if they're wealthier than me. The biggest Passover Seder ever. That would have been a way to make
right.
history, but he decided to go with the opposite route.
yeah.
But anyway.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Taking
little extreme
food
on
away
his
from
part.
Jews.
Yeah, he could have made the greatest Seder ever, but he just ruined it.
You remember that Seder that Mr. Hitler threw? Oh my God.
Mr.
Yeah, we
Hitler.
could be saying that. He chose to make history the right way.
Yeah, there's some fucking version of Man in the High Castle where this is already on like the storyboard.
Hitler throws a Seder.
Mr. Hitler.
So here's where stratigraphy comes into play. I talked about that a little bit. That's the different layers of soil. So it turns out, after he digs this big trench, there was actually 9 cities built on top of each other in this mound, and each had their own.
Oh, wow.
Each had their own stratigraphic layer. So the second from the bottom city, Schliemann was like, "Dude, this has to be the city of Troy from Homer because it's burnt. Everything's burnt there." So like,
Oh yeah, soot. Look at the soot.
It's gotta
Yeah.
be, yeah.
yeah. So there's a lot of burnt material. And Schliemann's like, all right, fuck everything else. We're just fucking paving everything down to... They called this city Troy 2 because it was second from the bottom. So, Troy 2. We're digging everything down to Troy 2.
Cool. Making a parking lot.
Calvert's like, whoa, I'm the brains here, and I think that Troy 6 is actually Homer's Troy. So the 6th layer up, that's the Troy we're looking for, not Troy 2.
How many layers are there?
9. There's 9 cities built on top of each other.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
I wonder what that looks. That's probably crazy looking.
I mean, you think about New York City, right? When the Twin Towers, when they were digging out there, they found like a ship at the bottom of where the Twin Towers
Oh yeah.
were, right? So like
Yeah,
people
this is
just
New York 1.
people just build on top of each
It
other,
makes you wonder.
right?
Just keep going up.
Yeah. So Calvert's here, like Troy 6 is the one. That's Homer's Troy, and you're destroying everything, going down to 2. Centuries later, thanks to radiocarbon dating and other factors, they had found out that Troy 6 and Troy 7, specifically Troy 7, Troy 6 and Troy 7 were very similar. It's basically like they put an extension on their building, right? Nah, Troy 7. Right?
All right, yeah.
So Troy 7 was actually the late Bronze Age when the fall of Troy happened. And you could see when they examined the rocks that there was like arrow holes stuck in arrows stuck in things. There's like a lot of dead bodies at that level. So here's Schliemann blasting through the city he was trying to look for, breaking all these artifacts and just throwing them into his dumping pile. So now when archaeologists go to Troy, they literally go into his dumping pile and try to figure out, like, oh it's all jumbled up in this
His dumping
fucking
pile.
Making history.
Yeah. So besides the charring on Troy 2, Heinrich believed that layer was the fabled Troy because he had found something that he had called Pyram's treasure. What did we decide on? Pyram?
I went with Priam.
Okay. So they called
It's funnier.
something that he found Priam's treasure. And he found this treasure. He's like, it has to be Priam's because he's in the book. He's in the good book.
Who else would it be?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Yep. It's his.
Yeah.
So Schliemann writes about him finding this treasure. He said he had been watching one of his workers, because he wasn't digging really himself. He had hired workers to do this stuff. He's a dignified man. So
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one assumed that he was doing this himself. He was getting poor people to do it.
Yeah, poor Greek and Turkish.
Hey, he
men.
was rich.
So Schliemann, this is in his diary, because we went through his diary, we found all these like inconsistencies. Schliemann said he had been watching a worker dig out a bronze cup, and he saw a glint of gold. Oh,
Ooh.
Nice.
so he stopped the dig, dismissed all of his workers, and him and Sophie, his wife, dug the treasure out on their own.
Oh, without witnesses?
Yeah, they brought it back to their tent. They cataloged it. It was gold cups, gold necklaces, rings, pots, stone hilts. It had to have been a king's treasure.
Obviously.
Cool.
Yeah.
A good logic.
Now, as you picked up, this treasure is very sketch. First of all, the location of the treasure seems to change from one account to another. Like, I found it right next to this gate over here. It had to be.
For all we know, that could be a pawnbroker's treasure.
Yeah, right? Secondly, Schliemann had paid his workers for finds they made. So there was an incentive to dig up good shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, is it percentage based?
well, it's like, yeah, you found like a great dig. I'm going to give you fucking, I don't know what they do in Turkey. I'm going to give you 7 turkeys.
More money.
Because you found this great thing.
Shit. The butterballs?
And as we had also another thing, as we had seen, Schliemann had a nasty habit of combining his finds into one. So in his diary, we can see him finding a sword here, a bronze or a gold cup here, and in his publications, these finds all come into one spot. Priam's treasure.
Right.
Right.
This was obviously Zeus's summer home. I found this ancient chalice and a sword and a couple sandals that were probably left behind, and some pots, and perhaps even a ninja, which is a very expensive blender for the time.
It's no magic bullet.
Those things are dinky.
Yeah. People believed. Here's another thing. So people believe, and I say people like archaeologists, believe that the contents of Priam's treasure may have just been planted there because the things that were included were not from the time period, and we haven't seen anything like this since this dig, right? Like, so the objects they found, the earrings, like, they don't match anything else we found since then. He could have just went to a
wow.
local
So they're
goldsmith and be like, make me some mirrors. Here's some gold that I found in California. Make me earrings.
Mehmet, here's some money. Go down to Party City and buy some glitter. We're going to put it all over this place and show them what a real digger's like.
And there is documented evidence that Sophie wasn't even on the dig site the day of the discovery because she was pregnant with a child, and there was malaria season in the area because, everywhere had malaria season. So she was in Athens the entire time. So the whole thing about him writing about it, him and his
Wow.
wife digging up the treasure is complete bullshit.
Just
Yeah.
just
He's
lies.
romantic.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's got a 19-year-old wife. He's being romantic. You were basically there. I told you about it. It's the same thing. Your eyes, my mouth, same shit.
Yeah. And the final thing is that he found this treasure in the final few weeks. And this was like, they set the dig period. They're like, this is how much money and how much time these workers can be here for. So they found this find in the last few weeks before Schliemann was going to wrap up the dig entirely. Right? All 3
so kinda
seasons.
saved
They're
it.
like, we haven't been finding anything. It's just been pots and shit. So all of a sudden, he's like, bam, global news with my fucking, here's Priam's treasure, the guy you've read about.
Yeah.
Wow.
So with global news came the Turkish government. They're like, whoa, what are you doing over there? You digging all shit out of the ground? You digging that shit out of the ground? That's ours.
I'm sure they said it just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good Turkish accent.
I don't.
That part is spot on. Spot on.
I met
Fantastic.
some. I used to work with a woman who was from Turkey. She was very nice. She sounded like that. Exactly.
Hi, Travis. How's your dad going?
How's your dad going?
Yeah, how's your dad going?
So yeah, they're all of a sudden like, oh, whatever you dig out of our ground, that's ours. because it's
Makes
it's our
sense.
heritage, right?
Yeah,
It's also just Turkish property.
Yeah.
To begin with.
You want it, you dig it up.
So Sophie and Heinrich smuggled.
Wow.
Sophie and Heinrich smuggled the treasures back to Athens, right under the Turks' nose. And when they were back,
Oh, they boof it?
yeah, right up the anus, all that hard metal. Well, gold soft.
Nice. Hell yeah.
They get it in there.
And just
Nice and deep.
to up the publicity, you think these gold artifacts, they're so fragile and ancient, right? Like you stick something in the dirt for like a week outside, it's gonna fall apart, right? It's metal. Like I'm not even talking about just ancient history. Like I don't know, I left my rake outside, it's rusted.
Obviously.
It's all rusty.
So just for publicity, they went home and Sophie did a photo shoot with all of the jewelry on her. And I will present to you the one picture.
That's what a photo shoot
picture
was.
time.
Took all day to set up. You got one picture, usually overexposed.
That means you gotta make the picture worth it, you know? That'd be a good photo.
Yeah, you gotta show us a dick photo. A dick
Yeah.
photo, not a dick pic.
Imagine getting a dick Polaroid. Like, wow, this was fucking $6.
That would be great.
I'd be like, whoa,
It's like, wow, I gotta treasure this.
this is vintage.
I gotta send it out to people via the mail.
You can only send it to one.
So
Yeah.
you guys can tell me, and I'll probably put Sophie in the cover art. So you just need to take a look at the cover art of this episode. But you tell me if this looks ancient, like it just came out of the ground. This is his wife wearing his fine that 3,000-year-old jewelry.
I like it.
What? I'm confused. It looks like it's not being used right.
It looks like it's brand new.
Yeah. It was either dug up and polished or just fucking fabricated in like a jeweler's basement.
It looks like macaroni noodles.
I like it.
It's weird. It looks more like a dress than like whatever she's doing with it. Like there's earrings on her neck. I don't know what that's about. It looks like the thing over her forehead is like a cummerbund.
Yeah, you put that to hide titties.
Yeah.
How she keeps that on? Thing on her forehead?
That's probably.
Must like slide off.
Yeah, like that's not workmanship.
I think it's probably knotted into the thick Greek forehead hair.
That's how that works.
Oh.
So over the course of this dig, Schliemann had a lot of personal shit going on that he mainly just ignored. First of all, his ex-wife, Katerina, had filed a bigamy charge against him because the Russian courts had deemed his American divorce null and void.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
So Schliemann was kind of just banned from Russia. He didn't go back. And he had to up his alimony to Katerina.
Oh, no.
How much? How many noodles?
Ruples. Noodle ruples.
Ruples.
You
How many noodle rubles?
How many? You got 7 egg noodles this month, Katerina. You better make it last. You got 3 children.
That's a lot of breast
hard.
milk.
Yeah.
Hard division.
So Sophie also had popped out 2 little balaclavas. Is that no? What's the one? What's the little guys?
Baby?
What?
What's that?
Babies.
Yeah.
Nesting
Yeah,
dolls?
3 little Greek old babies. Baby's ass.
Yeah, but that's Russian. You should have used that with the last wife.
Yeah, right? I know. I'm just so stupid. So Sophie popped out 3 little babies. So Schliemann, who he's now full blown, like, I don't know if there's like a Greek version of weeb, but like he's like a super weeb Greek. Like he's talking about things like the gods. I pray to like Lady Fortune. Like the gods have received my babies. You know, like
What are we talking? Japanese?
well, if there was like an equivalent to the like weeb culture, but for Greeks, is there a thing?
It's called Hierophant.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Now learn something.
Wow, the first time we actually learned something
Yeah.
on this podcast.
Yeah. So he's a straight
I feel
Hyro.
smart.
Yeah, okay.
So he's straight Hyro.
Do you?
And he names his first daughter to Sophie Andromache, which is from the Iliad. I don't know exactly what character. And his son was named Agamemnon, who he talked about.
Oh no.
So his name is
Agamemnon was a jackass. Why would you name your son after a jackass?
Yeah, and it's also Agamemnon Schliemann.
I don't like any of
I like the way
this.
that comes off the tongue.
So when Agamemnon was born, Schliemann's publications of Troy were very popular in Britain, and the
Good.
Prime Minister William Gladstone at the time, he was super interested in them, and he wanted Schliemann to bring some of the treasures he had found back to the British Museum, because Britain just steals everyone's culture and brings it back to the British Museum.
Let me see that shit.
So Schliemann was also sucking up to Gladstone because he wanted the Prime Minister to write the foreword in his next publication.
Why does he think he can sit down with prime ministers and presidents and just waste their time?
I mean, at this point, he's popular. He's a sensation. Before, he was just like a random wholesaler, but now he's going around and
He's a celebrity.
Good for history, I guess.
Making history.
yeah, he wants the Prime Minister to randomly write about like, the Iliad was my favorite book. Thanks, Schliemann, for finding this shit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So after his son Agamemnon was born, he sent a letter to Gladstone, basically requesting that Gladstone be his son's godfather, and then asked him permission to name him Agamemnon. He's like, yo, would you like to be godfather? And I'm going to name him Agamemnon. That okay?
Hope this all sounds good. You used to manage raisins for a living. Who are you?
Yeah, Gladstone was weirded out and didn't reply to the letter. So Heinrich moved forward with the baptism of Agamemnon. But here's the catch. He didn't use a Bible when he was baptizing his baby. He used Homer's Iliad instead.
It's not a holy book. It's not a holy book. You don't do that. That's not how it do.
He's making his own rules.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than a pamphlet.
So
Is this oak tag?
Well, you baptized your kid with a map of Six Flags?
I will name you King Dakar after the mighty roar of the King Dakar.
I had snuck into the woman's bathroom to get some up-panty shouts, and your mother, who did not know me at the time, was very much anti-obliged, I guess would be the term.
Anti-blood.
We went out and fought in a bush next door, and next thing came to next thing, and we were making love on the Mountain Dew machine. Then we went on the flu machine. You know, that's a machine with a log on it. Everything's a machine there. That's Six Flags. Part of machines is flags. And that's how you was made. Eggle bomb.
That was a beautiful story.
What brought
Eggle
a tear to my eye?
Good thing I went on nitro right before, or else I would have been twins, because I was blasting off.
Love Nitro.
So speaking of Agamemnon, let's talk about the original guy, the jackass Agamemnon. Schliemann had rapped on his dig of Troy, and he was banned from digging there because the Turks were like, dude, you just smuggled out all of our treasure. We're not letting you back in, and we're going to have guards there now because we know you're going to try to come back.
Bastard.
So Heinrich's attention turns to Mycenae, which is a Greek island that Agamemnon lived on and ruled over. So Schliemann was like, next big find I'm going to be Agamemnon's tomb.
Well, okay, so he's like calling it.
Yeah. So yeah,
Dude.
he was a and I'll talk about this a little later, but he didn't dig anywhere that wasn't a already pre-established site. Like he's not going to dig a random settlement. He's going to go for the well-known things.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, but it's low-hanging fruit.
So right off the bat, the Greek Antiquity Society was like, hey, we're going to send a representative to make sure you don't destroy everything looking for your treasure when you excavate this thing.
Excavate with dynamite.
Yeah, so they sent over this dude, and I'm going to try his name really hard. Panagiotis Stamatakis.
That's pretty
That
good.
sounded okay.
Yes.
Well,
That sounded
Yeah, Kalika. So
Oh,
I'm
boy.
going to call him Stam. Stam
Stam.
was supposed to be in charge. He was the one who was supposed to be like, this is how you dig. This is how we execute this. And Heinrich, you're supporting the money. You can look at all what we dig out of here. but like I'm in charge of how we dig this thing. But Heinrich, he had all the money. He was paying the bonuses to the workers to find those notable artifacts, right? So no one's going to listen to Stam. Everyone's like, Schliemann's the one paying me.
Yeah, you go into the soil gently and you unfurl the sand around the pots as you
Massage.
find.
Yeah.
Go buy Chinese food later. Give me them monies.
Mike, if you're digging a
Wow.
new pool, right? And I know that's what some of you do.
Yeah.
And you got a boss guy, and he's like, you better take your time with that. You do overtime, I'm not going to pay you. Or if you get some guy who's like, guess what? We're having a pizza party if you get that done today.
You know, this reminds me of a Brendan Fraser movie called Encino Man, where they find a caveman in a pool. So I'd actually try and get it done as fast as possible.
Yeah, you want that pizza party in
so I
caveman.
can find the caveman, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll find a caveman in my
It's a
backyard.
good analogy, Mike.
Yeah.
Wow. Spot on.
Doesn't remind you of any other Brendan Fraser movies.
No, just that one.
Yeah.
Maybe the Mummy.
So Mycenae had already been partially exposed and was a tourist attraction thanks to the impressive Lion's Gate that was standing. Basically a big old structure with two lions. They're touching penises on top of it, the statue. Yeah. So the Greek government was like, dude, Schliemann, when you're moving soil around, I know, but we already don't worry about Stan because he's a pussy. He's not doing anything. When you're moving our soil around, just try not to cover up the shit that like we already dug out because like people like to see that. And Schliemann's like, fuck that, and just like covered up all this shit with his junk pile.
Wow.
What a fucking
Holes a
dick.
hole.
Back to a very interesting part of archaeology, soil strata. So,
Yeah.
it seems at some point the Romans had inhabited the site at one point. And obviously, if it's a Roman and you're looking for something that's Greek, the Romans are going to be above the Greek layer, right? Still interesting. These are Romans.
Yes.
That's a long time. That's about 1,000 years before this dude was hanging out, right? So,
Wow.
so Schliemann, whenever he came across a structure or a Roman artifact, he would actually smash it or knock it down. He'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is Julius's? Oh, I hate it. Get out of here.
Why? Because he just was jealous or something like that?
He just could, Mike. He just could.
He's looking for Greek stuff. He's not looking for Roman stuff. He doesn't want... That's garbage.
Rome has a city already. Ancient Greek.
Oh, yeah, true.
It got dusted, completely dusted. And now he's looking for that shit.
There's no Greek today.
The Greeks were around, the Romans decided to copy them, and then took over everything, therefore overshadowing all of ancient Greeks' accomplishments, I guess.
Well, actually, interesting. I don't know what character it is. Cody, you might know, but one of the people in the fall of Rome, one of the heroes, the Greek heroes, he fathered Romulus and Remus to the wolf. So I don't know, you like fucked a wolf or something, and started Rome.
No, that's
It's on the tip of my tongue.
no one fucked a wolf. The Romulus and Remus were orphaned, and the wolf found them.
Nah, he fucked the wolf. He was like, "Oh, what up, Nico?"
How you doing, Wolf? You look rather strapping tonight. I've just now come from the vineyard. I've been stepping on grapes all day. Would you like to have a grape or two with me? Come on, suck it down, lick it up. I know you got no suction in your mouth because you're a sick beast.
Imagine a wolf with lips, though.
I mean, they got
A little.
something.
Wait, hold on.
They
A
got
little
gums.
aside here. You know how it's. I'm gonna do a little aside. You know how it is hot when you see that woman that like, oh my god, she could put like a cherry in her mouth and then she ties a stem into a little knot. Imagine what she could do to my pee-pee.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Tied in a knot.
I look for a woman that can put a hard-boiled egg in her mouth and peel it. Just spit out them shells.
That's interesting because I look for a woman that can put a bratwurst in her mouth and like weave it into like a basket.
No, I want one.
Nice.
I want one of them mongoose women that are looking for eggs, and I think I found one. Hey, lady.
Mike, what kind of mouth are you looking for in a woman?
Just a woman.
Love that sentence.
Any kind of breathing woman.
Just a
Mouth are you looking for?
No,
a
you've
woman
got
that
you've
can
got
take
the
air in her mouth and survive.
no. You want the ones that have that sticky maple syrup in it. I don't know.
Yeah. There's some poutine.
All right, so here's Schliemann. He's knocking over everything, smashing. I don't know
I
What
love
is
it.
this, a fucking Roman hell? Is this a gladius? I hate this. I'm throwing it in the ocean. And then here's Stam, our boy Stam. He's like, no, don't do that. But at this point, Schliemann had about 140 workers in his pocket. So he's like, no, don't listen to that dude.
It's happening.
So once again, Schliemann is not pulling up anything noticeable. And in the last few weeks of the dig, Schliemann strikes gold, literally.
Oh, no. What'd he do?
Course.
So Schliemann had found a mummy, and he said this mummy was perfectly preserved, just laying in the dirt. Not covered in anything, just like, here's a mummy.
No.
We dug it out.
Just hanging
In the
out.
dirt, right? And probably reminding Mike of that Brendan Fraser movie, Encino Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one where he's an actual archaeologist.
All right, so, I mean,
And Pauly Shore.
yeah, with Pauly Shore. So you can imagine in Encino Man, like, say if when he pulled the caveman out of the ground, if it was in a desert, maybe it would make sense. Like if Brendan Fraser did a movie with a caveman coming out of a desert hill, it would make sense. But we're on a Greek island. It's moist. It's gross.
Yeah.
Salty. So he pulls this mummy out, and on the mummy's face is a golden death mask.
Ooh, that's scary.
What does it say on the mask? Made in Taiwan?
Yeah. So Schliemann writes King George of Greece about his find, and then writes the newspapers. He says, "This corpse very much resembles the image in which my imagination had formed long ago, the wide-ruling Agamemnon." And then he goes on and says, "I have gazed into the face of Agamemnon."
Scary.
Why do you think that?
Yeah, so he came on this mummy's face. That's in the history books. But let's pause for a second. First of all, how does he know that this skeleton, this thing he found in the earth, is Agamemnon? It's just some guy. Even if he found something, it's just some guy. There's nothing that says this is Agamemnon.
Hello, my name is Agamemnon.
Well, he
Just,
says so.
Stuck right to his shirt.
We don't.
Yeah, Mike. Mike brings up a good point. He said so.
Right.
He said so.
So this is the time of photography. Like the one good thing that Schliemann did is that he brought a photographer around and he photographed everything that he pulled out of the dirt, which was something new, right? But there's no photos or even paintings of the mummy that Schliemann unearthed. If he did pull up a mummy and it was just buried in the dirt, even if it was completely preserved, as he said it was, he looked in, he could see the eyes of Agamemnon, his hair was there, like his skin tone was still there. Even if that was a thing, because in certain situations that can happen when people get mummified. Once he was exposed to the air, the mummy would just deteriorate. So automatically he's covering his tracks. He's like, I saw it, but guess what? It's rotten now. It's left the banana out too long. Now it's all black.
Yeah, he's all moldy now. He's stupid. I threw him out.
You don't want to
see this
smell.
guy.
No.
Trust me, it was him, though.
There were other gold death masks found in this grave site that he had found. Most of them were pretty crude. There's no real details. It was just like basically a smiley face. Like, look, it's a guy. Agamemnon's was super detailed. And it showed a very surprisingly 19th century depiction of what someone would imagine a king to look like. It looked very much like you, Tom. It had handlebar mustaches with a pointed spiked beard. I mean, you don't have the spiked beard, but you have the handlebars.
Yeah, one day I will when I'm ready to be king. But that's another chapter of my life.
So,
Yes,
Although, to be fair, that chapter of my life will probably involve a lot of methamphetamines, and I won't really be king at all.
You'll be
close,
king
though.
in your mind.
Yeah, in your own mind,
That's
Tom.
all that matters.
Yeah, well, you're right.
Yeah,
Guys. Thanks
sure,
for,
at the end of
thanks
the
for the
day.
encouraging words.
I feel like
It's gonna be alright.
Do meth.
a lot of
meth.
people at Burning Man think that they're king in their mind.
I mean, we all are.
I'm upset that they didn't let Burning Man happen, because I would have loved to have seen a few of those people knocked out.
Karoungus.
Rona said, knock you out.
So,
Get rid of them.
back to this mask. Some archaeologists today, not all, some of them have, this mask is called Agamemnon's mask. It's one of the most iconic finds that Schliemann found, right? Agamemnon's mask. That's it. This is his swan song.
All right, so now I'm looking at this mask, It looks like Han Solo in carbonite.
Yeah, so I mean, like we don't
okay.
like. There's no photos of like this is the thing. When he says it's Agamemnon, there's no photos of this guy. There's no paintings. There's no stucco. Like no art exists from this period. It's like prehistoric era. You know, I mean, there's some, but none of this guy, right? And you look at this and you're like, I don't know. He's got kind of a modern styled beard. It's pretty trimmed around. You know, he kind of looks a little European. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like a nerd. He looks like a modern.
incredibly-
He looks like an 1870s nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not incredibly detailed. It doesn't have striking features. It's just like, yeah, that guy's got 2 ears.
Yeah.
Some eyes and
So
beard.
here's the thing: is that a lot of modern archaeologists, and I say a lot more younger archaeologists, older archaeologists, take what you just saw as like truth. This is Agamemnon's mask. We're not questioning it. But younger archaeologists think that this could have been a plant, or it could have been just created by a local goldsmith, right? And just put like what he did with the coins. He's like, I don't know, I found it in the hall. And
Came
the
out of
thing
the
is,
hole.
they haven't seen anything like this from that time period. You know what I mean? Like, there's not tons of these masks floating around. There's like the 5 that he found, and 4 of them don't look very good. Like, literally, it's the other 4 look like if you just took off the beard and like the lips or whatever, it's just like an eye, right?
Yeah, it's like he used the same mold in the process.
The guy's got vaginas for eyes.
Yeah, they're pretty thin, tight slits.
Yeah, why?
Yonic.
Why is this? Why is the this Agamemnon, who's supposedly Greek, Chinese?
I don't know.
He's even got the stereotypical like 1950s when they made fun of Chinese people a lot, the big ears.
Rampantly.
Yeah.
Like, he needs
Like
the buck
the
teeth.
abusive.
Like short round. That one reputable archaeologist
Yeah.
had that short round. Does it really feel like a fortune cookie under your foot?
Cody, you ever been called short round? I feel like some of our racist teachers
I don't want to admit when I
probably
was.
were like, I don't know, this kid's Asian, short round. What's the answer to this question?
And I'd get it right.
Agamemnon's mask, again, made international news. Everyone's like, oh my God, we found the king's mask, because everyone's gullible, and Schlieman's like, this has to be it. So after this dig, he kind of goes into like another one of these grand tours. He checks out Egypt. He doesn't do any digs there, but he's asked to do a bunch of other excavations around Europe. And as I mentioned, Schliemann was, I guess you'd call, a glory digger, right? So he wasn't gonna dig a regular settlement. Like, he's not like, oh my God, look, here's a fucking settlement. I want to know how these people lived. And he wants to dig the big sites with historical weight, right? So he returns to returns to Egypt. The only one dig that he tried to do was to find the tomb of Cleopatra VII, the famous one in Mark Antony, right?
If you're going to embarrass yourself, do it in the best way possible.
Yeah, this only lasts one day because Cleopatra's temple is now underwater, and he literally goes to the shore. He's like, I don't know about this one, guys. I think it's under there. I can't dig up anything.
Whoa.
So he comes back with like a bust of a woman's head, which he just calls Cleopatra's bust or something.
Oh God.
Oh, he's a phony.
Yeah, and then
Did you just get that now?
everyone's like,
Yeah, but now it's more clear.
this one's just like, everyone's like, that's not Cleopatra. That's just some woman that had her statue made. So he puts this in his house. His house is like a weird. I didn't go into the house thing, but his house is like there's some weird archaeological like Tomb Raider shit where like he's got all these finds everywhere, but he's also got these weird statements on the wall that I guess are like precursors to those motivational statements. Like, you can do it. Like, I believe in yourself.
Hang in there, baby.
Yeah, this is the type of dude that would have a Billy Bass on the wall, you know? He actually had ancient Greek statues, or he had statues, not ancient, he had statues made that he put on his roof And they were naked statues of like Athena and all these different Greek goddesses. And the Greek
That's
government
cool.
in Athens was like, "Can you cover that shit up? It's on your roof. This is like the 1800s. We don't need to see boobies." So he just took random clothes and put them on him.
Oh, that's psychopathic.
House mannequins.
It's fantastic.
So all this time he had been itching to get back to Troy. But he had to buy off and win over the Turkish government to get the permits. His contemporary peers and the archaeological community started to smell Schliemann's bullshit. So even at the time in the 1870s, 1880s, people were like, "I don't know about this guy. I think he might have the wrong Troy." And Schliemann was always there, quick to defend the fact that he had found the right city from Homer's epic. He would even pay off reporters or discredit his detractors in publications, and to give little bonuses to people that gave good reviews to his studies.
Science.
The guy was loaded. He could just pay for everything. So eventually he got his permits to return to Troy, and this time he brought along an architect/archaeologist named Wilhelm Dorfield. So
Wilhelm?
Wilhelm. I'm thinking about ham, dude. I'm hungry.
You are.
I'm hungry too, man. This is going long.
So, for years, the two of these guys, Wilhelm and Schliemann, they dug away at Troy. And Schliemann never found another Priam's treasure. He may have been like, guess what? I already found what I needed to attract that attention to the international crowd. So now I'm just going to like do my thing. You know what I mean? Like he needed that big spark first.
His big break.
He needed to make his Zeppelin 2.
Yeah.
So he can continue making terrible music and not be great.
It also could have been the fact that the Turkish government was there with multiple supervisors watching him like a hawk. So like there's a bunch of Turkish dudes, janissaries, fucking standing over him, being like, "What are you digging there? What you got there?"
Hey, put that back in the ground. I saw where you got that from. This is Capri Sun. This is not artifact.
So Wilhelm would eventually take over the dig after Schliemann died, and his conclusion was that of Calvert's, that the correct Homeric Troy was in fact Troy 6. So it's too bad Schliemann destroyed most of it, because his predecessor was like,
Fun.
Troy 6 was the
What
one.
an idiot.
Oops. And ask me the question.
Oops. How did Schliemann become a dead man?
So, in 1890, at the age of 68,
One
Schliemann, one shy, dog. One shy.
He could have gone to heaven.
Yeah, he could have gone to heaven.
Yeah. No questions asked if you die at the age of 69.
They just let you the
Could have
fuck
been
in
his
there.
Murderer.
Well, you have another shot, but it's unlikely. It's 420. You have to live for 420 years. So, like vampires.
That's a hard
And then
one to
after
get to.
that, yeah, and then after that, it's 1,337.
Yeah, or
right?
666.
Yeah.
They got a sub-level of heaven, which is kind of just like a moldy friendlies you can go to if you make it to 90. Just because that's a nice number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you made it. Have an ice cream cone. It's got ears on it. It's a little gremlin you could eat. It's also, the ears are made of Reese's Pieces.
No vanilla. We only have mint. Sorry.
So this is a new one for Roast Mortem. It's kind of gross. It's maybe not as gross as like Joanna Southcott. But so Schliemann had been going deaf over the course of his career. People had noted this. So like, this guy can't hear anything. And yeah,
We told him not to dig there, but
Yeah.
he just dug there.
Yeah, the sewage main disposal line's running right through that neighborhood. I don't know why he's digging.
so as it happens, he had a spur growing inside of his ear that was blocking his eardrum. So like this bone spur was just like covering up his ear hole.
Bony ear.
Was he an extra for Jason and the Argonauts? What is going on?
So he had an operation to remove his friend, who was like a physician. His friend that So he had a friend that he'd send all of his bones that he didn't want to. He's like, yo, you're the bone guy. Like, fucking here's all your bones. And his friend was just like, dude, you got to go there and get that shit taken out of your ear. Gross.
Yeah.
So he had
Take my bone friend.
Yeah, he had a 1890s operation, and they removed the cartilage, which he packaged up and sent to his bone friend. He's like, check out my ear bone. You can fucking take it.
Fucking weirdo.
It's like when I've never done this, but it's when you take a huge shit and you're kind of proud and don't want to flush it, but you don't want to send your friends like a picture of like
You gotta measure it.
It's weird when it gets curly though.
If it's a straight one, I just reach in and grab it.
Just pull it out.
Choke it. Pretend it's a piece of corn.
Choke it.
So anyway, his infection, his operation got infected. So Schliemann was walking around with a smelly ear, for weeks, just ignoring the problem. And
Just shitty head. Hey, the side of your head is disgusting.
yeah.
It reminds me of that movie, Encino Man.
Oh, God.
So then on his travels back to his 9th season of excavation at Troy, he collapsed in the streets of
Sheesh.
Naples. The infection had spread to his brain and had formed an abscess, and he died of a super stroke.
Good
Super
riddance.
stroke. Super stroker.
Super
favorite squirt gun.
stroker.
Wow, Travis, I've never been so bored in my life. I really appreciate this one.
Well, Tom, guess what? I have a little bit of post-mortem.
Great.
Do it.
Maybe it will be a pick-me-up.
All right. So, an interesting thing happened to Schliemann's Priam's treasure, the big one that he'd found. So, Schliemann had been looking to sell this treasure to the highest bidder for years. He had been like, I don't know, the British government, you guys want this? You can give me a bunch of pounds. Give me pounds of bacon. I'll take it.
Pounds of bacon.
Yeah, I'll do it.
So he was going to sell to the British Museum, and then after Gladstone snubbed him for not being the godfather of his child, he was like, oh, well, fuck that. I'm not selling it to Britain. And eventually he traded it, most of the collection, to the Royal Museum of Berlin in exchange for an official doctorate in archaeology.
What? He bartered for a degree? Can you just do that? What am I
He's
doing
like,
with
look
my
what
life?
I found in the dirt. You can give me a doctorate. I'm a doctor.
I want to be a doctor.
I always wanted to be an architect. How many dicks do you think I could suck?
At least 14.
Yeah.
14?
What-
I could suck 14 dicks.
What if they're
No,
weird
you have to
dicks?
do prime. You have to do prime numbers of dicks.
So
13 dicks.
13 dicks. And
lucky
Cody, you say
number
they're weird
13.
shaped? No
They got to be
problem.
weird dicks, though.
Weird dicks.
Like, oh, this one's a Siamese twin dick.
Oh, it's got the
Put it
two
back.
heads. It spits at you
Yeah.
before you
Or
even start looking at it.
No, it's got the one head and just branches out and then comes back into the bottom of the guy's pelvis.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
no.
Yeah, well, that's a guy I would take on Nitro.
Like a tuning fork.
Yeah, tuning fork, wishbone, slingshot.
Okay,
thing.
so
It's gotta hurt.
this
It
boy,
is.
his Priam's, what are we calling it? Priam's treasure lived in the Royal Museum of Berlin up until World War II. At that point, the Nazis had moved the treasure into a bunker underneath the Berlin Zoo. So it had survived all the bombings and all the shit in Berlin. Berlin was pretty much like bombed to the ground. And when the Russians came in and captured the city, they took Priam's treasure without telling anyone. So, yeah, so everyone was like, did this, like, treasure... Because, like, they didn't know all this shit about him planting stuff. They had just read his autobiography. It was like, this has to be the Priam's treasure, right?
This guy's super legit. Troy existed. Fucking apples and cupids and cherubs and all that shit. Real.
Yeah.
He found
No.
So
Troy. Okay.
everyone was like, "Oh shit! Did we just like the Americans were like, did we just bomb this shit back into this, back to Greek times? Did we bomb it back then?"
Did we re-ruin it?
Yeah, but actually, the Soviets had taken it and they had put it into one of their secret Soviet bunkers back in Moscow.
It's nice of them.
And when the Iron Curtain lifted in the early 90s, all of a sudden in 1993, Priam's treasure magically appeared in the Pushkin Museum. Guess
Look at this.
Was it presented by Chris Angle? Or Dave Blaine?
It was Putin's version of fucking Chris Angel. So it was like Vladimir Angelia. It was actually just a bear. They just released a bear on the general public. We're like, hey, guess what? The Pushkin Museum, we're releasing a big thing. And they just released 7 bears into the audience.
Look inside gun. I have 9 bullets in clip. Shoot you in head. You are dead now. Count the clip. 10 bullets. How do I did it?
So now there's actually a big debate still going on today. It's been almost 20 years now about who owns this treasure. Germany is like, you guys stole that from me. And Russia's like, that's war reparations. And then there's the Turkish government who's like, hey, Schliemann just smuggled that shit out of our country, so we own it. And Greece is like, hey, Schliemann like brought that treasure to Greece, and like he was part of the Greek antiquities thing, so we also own it.
Well, now you got Greece, who's just, I'm sure their real argument deep down inside is like, hey, the euro happened to us.
Yeah.
So could we please have anything?
You European fucks.
Yeah, so up until this day, Priam's treasure is still in the Russian Federation in the Pushkin Museum. And again, this debate is ongoing about who owns it. It's kind of interesting.
Here's.
Wow. You know,
I just love Greek trying to be like, yeah, no, it's ours. And everyone who actually had their hands on it was like, no.
Shut up, Greece. Go back and make us gyros.
And that is all of
I'll go for a
Schliemann
gyro
and
right
his
now.
shittery. It's that thing fuckery.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Amazing, Travis.
Yeah, what a piece of shit.
That script was almost bearable.
Do you remember when I went on too long about the Iliad? That was a good time.
Yeah, let's recap this episode. So, we did a How Was Your Week? Nothing happened. Cody told us about a book that's very unimportant and very uninteresting at the same time.
Which Harry Potter
Travis
book
told a
was
story. They got Travis Schliemann. His dad was harsh. His mom died. And then he did a bunch of stuff, and now he's a bad man because he. Didn't
I think Mike took a nap.
Mike took a
and
nap.
sent us pictures of Brendan Fraser while I was trying to read my script.
Yeah, we got a lot of Brendan Fraser photos in the chat right now. Wow.
Thank you.
That's all part of the
Dude,
A+,
my friend.
Michael.
All right, so that's roast
You
mortem
just
for
Joe
the evening.
Biden.
All joking aside, Travis, that was a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you.
Hell yeah.
Good script there. Interesting guy. Even though I hate archaeologists.
Tom, guess what? You learned something. It's a science. It's basically science. It's basically like,
I did.
do we want to send someone to the moon? We should bring archaeologists because there was definitely moon people.
There's definitely a bones.
Oh,
in the
they're in the
Yeah.
craters.
Definitely bones. Send some. Elon's
Yeah.
trying to make a mission to Mars. Guess what? Send archaeologists because Martians have bones.
Yep. They have bones made of wood.
That's even more
Yeah.
confused.
It's a bunch of Pinocchios up
Yeah.
there. Every time they told a lie, they built a building.
And a
Wow.
Nazi base.
Don't forget that.
All right, so that's Ross Mortem, though. Thank you for listening,
Whoa,
everyone.
yay.
It has
Look at
been
it.
quite
Look
the
at it
time
go.
we spent with you. We had a great time with you.
Baby bells.
You had a great time with us. Don't tell yourself otherwise. Go to patreon.com/roastmortemcast.
I have a
Do it.
I
What
have
was
a
that, Travis?
challenge for everyone that listens. I want everyone to. You don't even need to unwrap them. Just see how many baby bells you can stick in your mouth. Send us.
Unwrap them.
P.O.
Unwrap
box.
them, please. That's wax.
P.O. Box. Roastmortem.internet.P.O. Box.
Wait, what? How's that? How
Wow.
did you do
That's
that?
how you do internet and postal service.
All right, well, I guess if our entire audience,
You're
12
welcome.
people,
You're welcome.
choked to death, still better rates than Corona.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh no, Mike! That is a sexual,
Fraser spam.
sexual Fraser.
Mike, where did you get that picture of my body?
Wrong chat.
Where'd
Sorry,
you get that
sorry.
picture of my body with those great pecs?
Rippling.
No,
out.
that's
I
not
found it on
your
Google.
body. That's definitely Brendan Fraser's. His face is not photoshopped on there.
All right, fine. Okay, everyone,
Yeah.
thanks again for listening.
Get the fuck out of here. We love
Thank you, Shane.
Shane.
you. Thank you, Shane.
All right, I'm going to cut with my butt.